Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Xaereth Prevails, a Grand Arena story. First, let's give a huge shout out to my patrons. You guys are great and awesome and everything wonderful. I just don't have the time to say all of it, so let's move on to the match here. This is the final match in the season, in fact, and I'm coming off of my first loss of the season. I'm at 10-1 right now. I'm facing a dude named Lone Star, and it's a huge opportunity for me to add video clips, but I do not have the time for that. So, we're just going to move on. And so one thing I wanted to provide context, I told you guys about it last episode. I do not have mods on my Darth Revan or Bastila Shan or Commander Luke or B1 or General Kenobi because of the cam mission, and that's unfortunate, but we need to move on from that. So we are working around that constraint here, though. And looking at the stats, my opponent is, he gets more defense than me. Otherwise, I have him beat in almost every statistic and category, at least in the past. In terms of total gear, I do have more gear 13 than them. They have way more gear 12. And I have a slight Zeta advantage, really not much at all. And looking at their mods, they actually have me beat in the lower end mods by a little bit. I have a little bit better high end, but not much, and I have a few more higher relic characters. So this is actually a very close match, and in terms of just material advantage, both of us have pretty similar stuff. Though I do have higher lifetime banners, and my opponent did deploy exactly as they have been deploying in Grand Arena history, so that was a nice boost. And really, I mean, that there wasn't anything too scary. This Darth Revan team doesn't have Bastila Shan, which is unfortunate because I would prefer that, because I'm going to have to use General Skywalker. General Skywalker I have on offense because I accidentally nerfed all the teams that can beat the high-end teams right now. My Commander Luke has no mods, Darth Revan has no mods, and General Kenobi has no mods. So those three teams are not available to me. Now, the first match I wanted to do, there was a General Grievous squad, really high relics, really strong squad, but I've been using my Nightsisters here under the Talzin lead, and really the key to this match here is to make it so, try to make it so that there aren't multiple droids who are dying in a row. Like, if you can time it so that multiple droids die in the same hit, then that's great, because General Grievous will take his first turn, or his bonus turn, and do his AoE one time. But if you kill one droid, and then you kill another droid immediately thereafter, you kill a droid, he does his AoE, you kill another droid, he does his AoE, he can wipe you pretty quick. So you're trying to avoid that. You're trying to just hit B2 as often as you can and kill him pretty quick when you can. Unfortunately, Magna Guard here is getting in the way, so decided to try to kill him, and once he died, then of course they did a ton of damage to my team, and I got lucky. Droidica targeted one of my other Nightsisters and killed that Nightsister instead of Old Daka, who was pretty weak from a previous AoE. And then I'm kind of lucky here. And so I was hoping that I'd have some kind of AoE there. Once again, I got lucky because Old Daka was not targeted by General Grievous to do his attack. Instead, Zombie was, and Old Daka survived to start reviving people. And now we're hoping that we can get Asajj back to life using basics. That didn't work, and 53 is an okay score, not great. We did one shot it, which is wonderful. 55 would have been much better, obviously. And now we have a Shakti squad, which I did not respect at all. Frankly, there's a Wampa in there, and some like Gear 12 clones, and Barris, who I've kind of just disregarded for a long time. And it's not a super strong squad. It's a bunch of leftovers, and frankly, I decided to take troopers because I was pretty sure I could just take all of these guys out. I could focus them down, and that was kind of a mistake. And you guys will see here, hopefully, though, we're going to be able to do some damage, take these guys out as quick as we can. And honestly, that one big shot, the burst attack from Veers, I thought, well, that was going to be enough to kill Wampa. Clearly, he's still around, and you can only attribute that to Barris giving him a lot of extra health. And suddenly, Veers died, and I needed to put it on airplane mode because the outcome of this match was no longer certain. Now, you'll see how I'm switching back and forth between certain targets because I don't want Wampa to necessarily assist, and or rather, I don't want him to counter me. So we're just targeting other characters because we only want to do high damage attacks to these characters. So I'm going to speed this up a little bit because this match does go on for a little bit. And once I had killed a couple of those characters, I decided to take it back off of airplane mode. Airplane mode is great, and everything with it's only useful if you don't want to keep your attack in the results. I've already killed a couple characters, and even if my team isn't able to get a win here, I still want to keep this result. Even though it's an embarrassing result, you still want to keep it because you've killed two key characters here. Cody isn't that strong, but Wampa was obviously pretty important. And you can hopefully be able to just take these, you find a team that can take these three characters out in one shot after this. So anyways, my troopers are slowly getting taken out. There's not a ton of offense on this team, but they don't have a lot of defense either, and I did end up losing a couple losses in a row for my troopers. And so here I made a mistake, a big mistake, honestly. I wanted to get the feat that included Kira and Maul. I wanted the bling for it. And so I figured my nest hits so hard, she's Relic 7, I should probably be able to take this team out. They're not going to be able to take me out. And so we're just moving forward here. Shakti eventually died, and then I'm just showing you guys this for posterity's sake. I have it super fast forwarded because I don't do enough damage, and honestly, this was a really ill-conceived plan. Barris just heals too much, and she has too much health for me to actually be able to truly take her out. Maybe if I had approached it differently and let Shakti generate a bunch of buffs for the team, that would have gone over a little bit better because Nest's overall offense would have been better. But as it stood, I timed out against Barris, and so that's super unfortunate. And so yeah, I actually ended up clearing that squad with a Hux team, which I apparently did not keep a video of or didn't download or something. Really not interesting. It's just leftover First Order squad, and Hux went in and they just did one burst attack and killed him. So now we're facing this pretty strong First Order squad, and we're using our new-ish Jedi Training Ray team. Everyone here has close to relics, including the First Order. And what we're trying to do here, I'm trying to stun different characters and trying to keep all these different characters at bay so that they can't do a ton of damage to us. And the first one you want to go after is First Order Officer. He's pretty squishy, easy to deal with, and once you take him out, that's one way that this team really gets out of control, is because he is constantly doing his specials, which give turn meter and also cleanse debuffs, and he also reduces cooldowns. And so a lot of people will ignore that, and I recently just saw a different YouTuber, I will not say names, but they went for First Order Executioner first, and they had a better squad, and they just completely got demolished. You want to kill First Order Officer first. After that, yes, go after First Order Executioner. You want to try to stun as many characters as you can once First Order Executioner is gone, because or rather not Executioner, the First Order Officer, because he's the only one who can cleanse these things. And so Kylo Ren can't actually do anything right now other than just try to eventually get out of stun. And so we're just gonna do damage. They're both pretty tough to kill. Eventually, though, you have Jedi Training Ray go in, call an assist with BB-8, and the assist doesn't matter, but you see the healing immunity is gone. So you eventually want to get it on both characters here, and Kylo is going to get more and more tanky as we continue to hit him. And so what we're doing here, we're just hitting him a lot despite that. And eventually we can actually stop doing specials if we need to. If we're doing like 0 damage to him, we can stop doing specials to him. And eventually he will take a turn, and then we can start doing real damage to him again. And eventually I did realize how little damage I was doing and decided to switch targets to Kylo Ren Unmasked. Obviously that's in the future still, but I did decide to do that. One thing I will point out, though, is that my normal Finn, my original Finn, I guess you'd say, he still switches back to do damage to Kylo Ren because he ramps up his damage over time. And so it depends on what target he's been hitting, though. And so I decided to just keep hitting original Kylo with him, at least. And that ended up working out, and this was a pretty easy match. They barely got a turn. Maybe they didn't get a turn. We got them all stun locked and controlled, and I was pretty happy to get that because after dropping 30 banners, I actually think that maybe I dropped 29 because I got an undersize with Hux. After I did that, though, I really wanted to be efficient here on the rest of my matches. I do have a strong defense, so dropping a couple isn't necessarily the end of the world, though you never can tell because my defense is pretty anemic at this point because of all of the different gaps in their mods. And so here, this is a match that I've done pretty consistently, and it yields really strong results. Nightsister Spirit is Relic 6, and they're all pretty fast, but you take Kylo Ren and company with Watt here. Watt goes first. He hands the taunting tech to Kylo, so that's undispellable until Kylo is out of protection, which he has a ton of protection. He gives the weapons tech to First Order Executioner, and eventually First Order Executioner, because he has that weapons tech, he's hitting harder, and beyond that, he's also denying any kind of revives for any of the Nightsisters. And so you want to do finishing blows with First Order Executioner. You want to otherwise just control the situation with the rest of the First Order squad. Eventually you can give the healing tech to First Order Officer so that if he just randomly gets hit with that stun from Daka and it knocks some of his protection off, you don't have to worry about that costing you a banner. And here, Daka is actually the last one to die, as opposed to most Nightsisters counters. You want to generally kill her first or finish her off first. But what we're doing here is we're waiting. You see that Watt's protection is actually not all the way full. He got hit at some point with something, and so we want to get that as high as we can, and we have the luxury of just slaughtering zombie over and over again until Watt is able to take another turn and regenerate all of that protection. And once he gets that protection back up, then everyone is at full health and protection, and we can get another 60 banners. So that's exactly what we're doing. Killed for old Daka, and we're at 60. So great, we have 2 matches in a row at getting 60, which is a wonderful feeling. And now we can tackle this Darth Revan squad. Really, the only team that I have here is to take him down is General Skywalker, and the back zone that I haven't shown you guys yet doesn't have General Skywalker in it, so we're safe to be able to use this team. And honestly, I haven't played this particular match that much, so I don't know if I approached it perfectly, but in the end, I mean, using General Skywalker to counter anyone is going to cost a lot of banners, and this is really no exception. My goal is usually just to take out HK or Sith Marauder as quick as we possibly can, because they do so much damage, and especially HK, he's got his AoE that he can do, and he can hurt everyone. He does extra damage to Jedi. So They did get a topple in, which is unfortunate, and then Malik got a force drain in, so 5 sacrificed himself. That's an extra 3 banners. Fortunately, Echo was able to throw his grenade and do some damage, and not before Ark managed to get himself killed. And 52 banners, I mean, that's why you don't want to take General Skywalker for offense, frankly. If you can put him on defense, that's wonderful. But as it stands, I mean, I'll take it, obviously. Good news in the back, though, was Akbar is in the back, and it's not a particularly strong team. My own negotiator is actually on offense this time. Even though Kenobi doesn't have mods, it's still a decent ship. So we're going to go super undersized here with just Commander Luke and his trio, basically. And this Jango squad is not super strong. It does have some relics. The Nest is probably the one who is going to cause me the most potential issues. So we're trying to just hit her intermittently as she takes turns. We want to hit her when she doesn't have any bonus protection back. And so you can see, my one thing to keep in mind is my Luke doesn't have mods, so he's way less resilient than usual, and we're hoping that we're going to be able to actually take someone out. This mission turned actually pretty scary for a little bit. You can see that Luke is very close to dead, and luckily my Chewie came out of stun and it was okay. This was pretty close though, and now we have Nest to deal with. We killed the rest of the rest of the bounty hunters with just random extra shots, and this wasn't handled super well. Commander Luke, it would have gone a lot better if Luke had had mods, but 58 is about as good as we can hope for, and so that's what we did. And now we just have this final squad left with Traya. We're just going to take Traya with our Bastila, who doesn't have mods, and Thrawn, and hopefully we can just get the first turn clear. Newt is not a super crazy strong squad. However, Watt is here. He gives the taunting tech to Zalbar, and that does make this squad problematic because we can't actually hit anyone other than Zalbar for a long time unless we actually take his protection all the way down. So we're going to do what we can, though. We do have a couple AoEs, so that can impact things. And at this point, Bastila still hasn't gone because she's just so naturally slow, and everyone else is pretty fast. My opponent did have some pretty decent mod sets on all of his characters. And so one reason I wanted to take Traya here was because I could put Isolate onto Zalbar, which completely counteracts the tech that Watt put on him to be able to make him taunt all the time, and so we can actually hit outside opponents. And like way later, after everyone's taken a ton of turns, Bastila finally got a turn, and she put all her debuffs on everyone, and now we're at a state where there's nothing really too much to worry about. We're trying to maximize banners, of course, but Bastila with basically any Sith trio, any Sith at all, she's going to be a monster. She's really strong, and as long as she gets a turn, which she didn't get a turn the first time I tried to use her this week, as long as she gets a turn, she can impact the match fairly dramatically. So one thing I wanted to do, I annihilated Watt, not because he was just so hard to kill, but because if I killed any of the other characters here, Watt would be able to revive. Now, it didn't really make much sense to do it that way, because if I annihilated Newt or Dooku, Watt would not be able to have revived them, but I think that was the reasoning I had behind it, at least, so try not to judge me too much. I probably should have just annihilated Newt, frankly, because he comes back, and then he can potentially take a banner away or something like that. His revive is really irritating. So now I'm just trying to figure out a way to delay the end of this battle so that we can get max banners, because frankly I lost my last match by one banner. I lost one banner is such a small number, and there was probably a lot of different times and opportunities that I had that I could have picked up a banner here or there, and I just wasn't as exact as I should have been because I'm not in that mode right now. So I'm just now I'm trying to be very deliberate, and even if I've already lost the match, because if my opponent does full clear without any fails, he'll probably just win outright. So I'm trying to manage this as best I can, just to practice, to stay in that mindset. And I did annihilate Newt there just for the satisfaction of it. And now we have enough time. We could annihilate Zalbar if we felt like it. If we can't do enough damage, we have another minute and a half or more than that. So we have enough time to get annihilate up. I'm just trying to get my banners up to max. And I know that maybe this battle is dragging on a while for you guys, but it can't be overstated. It is so important that you try to maximize your banners in every battle. Even if you think banners won't matter, it's either they're going to full clear me and win, or I'm going to get some defense and win. Even if you think that, you need to be playing it like every banner counts. You need to be playing it like an efficiency player, even if you think it's going to be a slugfest match. So that's exactly what I did, and I got the 60 banners eventually. Took a while, but this was not a challenging match, but it was challenging to try to get all 60 banners. So we got the clear on squads once again, despite our handicap, and now we can work on fleet. And that this is an interesting battle just because I think my opponent put the wrong U-wing on defense, or maybe that was a ploy to throw me off, I'm not sure, but they put Cassian's U-wing in instead of Biston's, so you can see how that affects it in a minute. And the only other thing that's interesting about this was trying to decide how many ships I should keep for reinforcements, because I didn't want to drop any banners, of course, but I didn't want to lose a fleet battle here just because I took less than the prescribed number. So I did get a little bit lucky here. Cassian's U-wing has the ability to shoot back every time you hit it, and so you can see I'm debating who to shoot at with Houndstooth. Should I hit Cassian's U-wing or should I hit Biston or Biggs? And none of the times that I actually hit Cassian's U-wing did he actually counter. So I guess that was nice. Probably just lucky, honestly, because he has a 60% counter rate, and then he regenerates bonus protection on top of that. So maybe I handled that a little poorly, but I did get my burst attack in against Biggs, and now I have Plo in here because I'm hoping that I can just finish Millennium Falcon off before they get reinforcements. Probably foolish of me, and luckily the Phantom didn't actually finish off my Ahsoka, so I can preserve banners that way. And so I used Ahsoka's heal. I think maybe that was short-sighted. I mean, it's great that she had her heal, but I don't think that actually would have grown back any banners for me. So in the end, I probably should have just done some damage and moved on. Now, I got my next reinforcement in, and I forget if he can miss, but Fives probably should have used whatever ability auto hits. Maybe none of them do. But in the end, it didn't matter. Got 66 banners and a win. And not the greatest score, but I mean, I'll take it. That's a pretty decent score considering I failed twice on the same really low-end Shakti squad. I'm looking, actually want to look into getting that squad up and running myself. Just want to show you the feats. I did end up killing enough characters with basically exclusively Han. And here's the final board before my opponent attacked. And when I went to bed, I woke up, obviously, and they cleared everything except for my fleet. And I was like, oh, did my fleet actually beat their negotiator, but they were actually in combat at the moment that I checked, and soon thereafter demolished my fleet. So they were pretty inefficient though, and I ended up getting the win by about 30-ish banners, and I can show you guys what happened, or at least my end of my view of what happened. They one-shot my two harder teams up on the bottom front. They actually lost a batch against my Grievous squad despite no mods being on B1. And then Newt and Bounty Hunters didn't steal anything. And then my Geonosians also stole a match, and my opponent actually, the only thing he said was he failed against my Geonosians. He attacked them wrong, and I asked him what he used, and he didn't respond. So maybe he will eventually. I don't know. But I did end up getting a win here despite my mod situation, and so I went 2-1 in my final week, ended up at 11-1. So very comfortably in Kyber. Disappointing to have these results, but frankly, guys, my offense has been really poor ever since at some point it's just been not the greatest. Once I went to full defense mode, it's just, yeah, it sucked. So I really need to rethink some of my teams. I've been really enjoying having this full stupid defense on defense. It's changed my playstyle a lot, and it's been really interesting trying to figure out which squads I should use against what, but I need to be more efficient too. I need more banners. I need to be more consistent. Some of my counters are just not very strong, so I'll be looking for that in the next season. I have no idea. It might be 3v3. They haven't said yet, though we do know when it's going to happen, which is in about a week from now, so that's exciting. And anyways, I'm going to just leave you guys here. It's been a lot of fun this season. Thanks for following me. Thanks for everything. Please consider giving this video a like if you liked it. And if you didn't like it, then I'm surprised that you've made it this far. So thank you so much for watching. And remember that in all things, Xaereth prevails.